How can you design your life as quickly as possible, let's say within 10 minutes? So, first, we're going to look at 8 areas of life that you're going to pick from, and then we're going to go through a design process and design thinking to get the vision that you want. A lot of times, when people want things in their life, they have sort of this vague notion of what it is that they think is going to make them happy. And while that's great, what we really want to do is we want to crystallize that vision so that we're really clear on what it is that we want to bring into our life. And a lot of times people don't really know what it is that they want. So this video is to help go through those specifics. And first, we're going to look at 8 areas of life. I'm going to give you an example with one of them, and then we're going to use that to go through 4 really simple steps. We can add more down the road, but this is just to get you started. If you feel like there's an area in your life that you want to kickstart that's plateaued a little bit, that you're not really sure how to add more momentum to the mix of your life. So the 8 areas of life that we're going to look at, that you should look at, that we all want to look at to make life a little bit more exciting. The first one of my favorites, is spiritual. The second one is vocational. The third is emotional. The fourth is social. The fifth is physical. The sixth is environmental. The seventh is intellectual and mental. And then the eighth is financial. And so if you wanted to look this up, this is like the 8 pillars of wellness that you can go through. So it's spiritual, vocational, what is your career like? Emotional, how are your emotions, your belief systems, your emotional intelligence, your social, your relationships with people, your physical, your fitness, your ability and what you're doing in life, your environmental, how are you contributing into the world? What are you doing in the world? Your intellectual, like your mental. So how are you stimulating your mind? And then your financial, how are you taking care of yourself and providing for yourself? And so one of the easiest examples I think we can look at is physical and looking at fitness. So a lot of times you're going to see people wanting to lose 10 pounds, wanting to lose a small amount of weight. And I've switched over the years from a goal to a standard where you might want to lose X amount of pounds or ultimately we want to get into shape, and like losing that kind of weight or losing any bit of weight. Once you hit that goal, then there's sort of the aftermath that we kind of forget about. Well, then there's maintenance to it, or maybe there's another 10. So over the years, I've switched a goal to a standard, and I've realized that I just want to be a very fit and healthy person. So my standard of living is I move my body every day. I work out every single day. And it shifted from moving to I walk to now I do hot yoga, which I will probably talk about way more than I should. And that just took time. That took actually a couple years to get into the mix of that after COVID when we were sitting so much. And so when we look at any one of these pillars, let's take fitness again. We might want to think, well, how do I want to get in shape? How do I want to have a fit life? How do I want to just move my body? Because I know that's a really healthy part and it actually stimulates my mind. It helps move my emotions through my body. And then it also connects me more to myself, with which is also a very spiritual, practice and connection. So I'm going to shorten the design thinking into 4 main steps. And the first one is identify what it is that your vision is, which is what we're doing right now. We're looking at, well, what is that specific goal or that specific standard or that specific vision that I want to attain? And then the next step is, how would I research and go into that step? How would I start to look at how to make that actually happen? The third step is I'm going to take action on it. I'm going to actually do the thing that I've decided to do. And then the fourth step is evaluate. Did I like it? Do I want to continue with it? And if not, I can go back through the same cycle, or I go to another area of life and then I move through it again. So let's move through this idea of fitness. Let's say the goal, let's keep it really simple. I want to move my body, so I want to start walking every day for 1 hour. I might identify about 10 things around that sort of level of what could I do that could be really interesting. I could go swimming. I could play tennis. I could ride my bike. I could do yoga, I could stretch, I could dance, all these different sorts of things that just seem really interesting to me that I'm going to list out and just start to see where I might want to put my time that actually feels like fun. I think that a lot of times we feel like I have to go to the gym and do something that I don't really want to do, or I have to go do X because that somehow is going to make the goal happen faster. And that's not true. We can absolutely pick, and that's the goal of designing our life, is that we're picking things that we absolutely love to do. And over time, they're going to change, you're going to grow, you're going to experience a lot of things, and you're going to shift and move. So this is a really great step. You just identify, have fun, write a list of 10 things that you would love to start doing. And then the second step is researching. So in that research phase, now you're going to start picking maybe two or three that you can pull out and actually look at, well, where could I walk? Where could I do yoga? Where could I go for a hike somewhere? Where is there a local pool that I could use to go swimming? Where are the bike paths, right? So we're starting to look to see, well, how could I actually make this happen in my life and start planning things out and start looking at options. And maybe there's a few things that I might want to try to see what I like. Maybe the weekdays, I only have so much time. So it's an hour to go walking, but on the weekends, I have more time. So I switch it up to a different activity. Awesome. The next step, the third step, is then I take action on that. I go and I look and I actually start planning in my calendar, look to see what those times are, and they can move around. Sometimes it'll be in the morning, maybe it's in the afternoon or in the evening. And I carve out that time. Maybe it's not a full hour, maybe it's a half an hour up top, maybe it's a half an hour when I get home. You figure out what works best for you. The goal is that we're designing something that works for us, not against us, and there's no resistance towards it. So we take the action, and let's say we decide, let's do this for a couple of weeks. 2 weeks to evaluate, do I like this? So we take the action for 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks, we evaluate what activities did I like? What times of day were the best for me? And then we start evaluating. Well, how would I change this to make it a little bit better? Where should I improve? Are there other activities that I would want to do instead of the ones that I participated in those for those 2 weeks? And then you can look at the next 2 weeks. In design, we call these sprints, kind of like a sprint plan, where you really just set goals and you set standards and you set things in motion. You agree and you commit to yourself the things that you want to do. You see them through, and then you evaluate to see how well it worked. And I think the real kind of secret sauce here with this, when it's in conjunction with our life, is that we are not attached emotionally to anything. Like, we have outcomes that we want, but we also want to be able to flow with life and be okay if the thing that we thought was going to be amazing wasn't quite what we thought it was going to be. So we're not looking to invest a lot of time in the beginning, just enough so that we're getting started and we're having a momentum and we're having experiences. This is also really great if you feel like you're in a rut with any area in your life, and it gives you an opportunity. If you're stuck ideating and identifying those things that you really want to do, kind of sit with your inner child, pretend you're a 5-year-old and your 5-year-old self is sitting at the table, and what would they do? I'm sure those answers would be quite different. Or maybe ask a child what they would do and maybe get some ideas. Go online and search, ask Chat GPT. That could also be a way to get a list together of things that you might brainstorm with. And then just really apply yourself and pick the ones that you're the most interested in, the ones that kind of seem the most intriguing, the most fun, something that doesn't feel like a chore or an obligation. And you can do this with any area of your life. And this is how we start designing a life that we really love. And again, as soon as any of these activities start to plateau, you either already have a list that you had generated from the beginning to go back to, and you kind of have it in the back of your mind to then reassess or make a new list, do something completely different. But you start to have this cycle that you can go through. And maybe this is a really great thing that you evaluate every quarter, every 6 months, every year, to see, are these habitual patterns and behaviors still working for me? You know, we get tired of eating the same things all the time. We get tired of doing all the same things. There's so many things that we can do. It's just a matter of kind of putting a little bit of mental work and attach it to the vision that we have for our life and what is it that we're really trying to go towards. And it's a little bit of improvement, but it's also about expansion and being able to expand ourselves into new areas of life that we hadn't thought of before. And we really only get to do that if we start with small baby steps moving forward so that we're really looking at what are the things that we really love to do today that would make us enjoy today the most. And then we just keep moving forward. So I really hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear how this works for you, how this cycle is, helping you move through life and any little areas that you have that you love. Um, Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.